Today is February the 19th, 2021. On the date of February the 14th, 1884, a young Theodore Roosevelt was summoned to his home, where there he found his mother who had succumbed to typhoid fever. Within hours of that, he would lose his wife to Bright's disease. Imagine losing your mother and wife of 4 years within hours of one another. He wrote in his diary that the light had gone out of his life and that he would never smile again. It was just 17 years later that he would ascend to the presidency, where his president, William McKinley, was shot in Buffalo, New York. Not being elected to the presidency, but to the vice presidency, he assumed that position where he would go 4 years from there to become the president of the United States for the second term. He wrote about the man in the arena, one of the greatest speeches ever given. And he said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or how the doer of deeds could have done them better, but the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, by sweat, and by blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again." Powerful speech that he made about the man in the arena. Well, this is a story about how for the past 50 weeks, we have been handed loss after loss after loss by judges and by attorneys. But while they're counting losses on our behalf, God is checking the win box on our behalf. For he loseth nothing who loseth not God. Yesterday, we received the news that we had lost again. What did we lose on this time? On a trumped up charge from the city court of something that happened 21 years ago that did not happen 21 years ago, if that makes sense. So back when I was released from the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, there was a charge that I had to sign to be released from the prison. Then we go to court from there on July the 15th, and they said that I was guilty of a speeding ticket 21 years prior. And then we say, well, not only are we not guilty of this speeding ticket, but if we were, the statute of limitations is up. Go away. They said, no, you either pay the fine and go to jail. We said, we're not going to do either one. Of course, we appealed to the First Circuit Court of Appeals. The First Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with us and our attorneys 2-1 in a 3-judge rule. 2-1, they said, we want to hear from this judge and this lawyer as to why you're prosecuting Pastor Spell after 21 years. You know where he is. He's never gone anywhere. He lives in Baton Rouge. His face just happens to be in the news. You know where he is. Okay? So they said, you have until November the 23rd to tell us why he should be prosecuted. Of course, they missed the deadline. We counted that as a victory. We celebrated. Fast forward to December the 9th, 2020, 7:15 in the morning, the judge, Lonnie Miles, tells my attorney, Jeff Wittenbrink, and myself, you be in the courtroom for 9 a.m. Of course, my attorney goes, I do not go. He says, I see your client's not here. I'm issuing a bench warrant for his arrest effective April the 1st. we appeal that to the First Circuit Court of Appeals and says, there are deadlines. You can't just not obey the deadlines that are put in place by the First Circuit Court of Appeals. And they said, well, deadlines don't mean anything during a pandemic. So they wrote to us and we're accepting their writ. And we say that your client needs to pay this fine and do the time. He's guilty. So we appealed to the Louisiana Supreme Court yesterday. Are we going to win? Your guess is better than ours. Who can predict the courts anymore? When you have unjust judges, lawyers that do not obey judges' orders, the mystery of iniquity is at work, which means the sin of lawlessness. Matthew 24 says, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. It means people are going to get tired of fighting because of lawlessness is beating them. But Jesus went on to say in the next verse, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Now that's where we come in. Enduring to the end. We're going to win because we endure to the end. Now, let me show you why we're not guilty and why these judges, attorneys, governor, mayor, congressmen, and senators are lawless, lawbreakers, filled with iniquity. Let that sink in. Filled with iniquity, lawlessness, a conscious, internal decision to break the law of the land, which we have never done, nor will we ever do. Let me show you where it comes in. If you've ever renewed your driver's license, it means you have to go in and get your new license. They say, oh, you got a flag on your license. So you have to go back and find out what the flag is. Well, you have an unpaid ticket, and then there's a bench warrant, and you've got to pay that, and then you've got to get them to send a receipt to the Office of Motor Vehicles, at which point you have to pay all the reinstatement fees, the fines, the bench warrants, and then you can get your license reinstated. Well, in the past 21 years, I have renewed my license at least 5 times. And with a Class B as in boys commercial driver's license, even more than that. Sometimes it has to be done every 2 years with health certificates, endorsements, passengers, air brakes, school buses, hazmat, etc., endorsements on my driver's license. So to these unjust judges and ignorant attorneys who are ignoring the law, how in the past 21 years could I have renewed my license as many times as I have if what you're saying is true? Now that breaks up your defense. You are false. You have defamed my character. You have lied. You've ignored the law. Because you can't get me on the First Amendment of assembling and going to church, you can't keep me out of my church. You trump up charges and side issues to make it look like I'm a scofflaw. You are an egomaniacal scofflaw. You're a lawbreaker, Judge. Your defense team are ungodly, immoral scofflaws. And right now it looks like you're winning. But the final chapter hadn't been written yet. So stay tuned. Because God's dipping his pen in the ink and he's getting ready to write a different chapter to this story. And boy, is it going to be good. Thank you.